I can't believe it's already mid-November. I completely forgot about this. Is what happens when you're locked away in your house all day. You forget about all this stuff.
Yeah, man. I was locked away like since our like what we're at like almost 3 weeks since our last conversation, right? I think.
Yeah.
And man, the amount of the speed that the day goes by because of daylight savings
Oh, it's
is
crazy.
really annoying, to be honest. It's like it's really hard. I don't even realize where I'm at. I'll put 4 hours in, 5 hours in. Next thing you know, it's dark. And I'm like, oh, cool, great.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So I don't know. But today was a lot of time spent on ChatGPT. A lot. So I was watching this call yesterday about how to build agents. I don't know if you've been playing around with it at all,
No.
but so if like super basic, like you can ask it questions, and you just have to think of prompts as you want to provide it with information and then respond to that information, right?
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can basically now with ChatGPT 4, they release the ability to create your own agent on the OpenAI platform. So what I'm doing is I'm pumping it full of information to create an agent that can speak to me in the brand voice that I want to create for the business. And so I can be like, hey, I need some help writing this piece of content. Here's the idea, write the content for me. Okay, I don't like the way you said this, so change it. Let's use this instead. Okay, I hate that word that you use. Never use that word again. Okay, do this, do that. And then slowly but surely it learns how you talk.
Hmm.
And it's what I've been using to help me execute the blogs. And at one point yesterday, it didn't need me to tell it anything anymore. It could write the blog knowing what I was going to say.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's insane.
Terrifying, but amazing.
Yeah, terrifying but amazing.
Oh, I'm gonna
So
have to play around with it because I've got the paid version of ChatGPT too as well, and I haven't played with the agent piece.
it's new. They just started talking about it on their what's it called? Their the like open AI day or
Okay.
whatever that they just had. But yeah, they're basically building an app store now for ChatGPT agents, and you can get a percentage of the revenue
Crazy.
that the app would create or the agent would create.
Huh.
So I don't know necessarily if this is going to be helpful for anybody else but myself, but the process of going through it and like your calendar, there's a calendar GPT, bro. There's one that'll check your things and like there's all kinds of
Oh
stuff
yeah,
now.
I know.
It's really exciting. It's really interesting.
It's wild stuff. I mean, I've had a conversation with my developer about how we could use like an AI model to basically completely change the way the app works,
Hmm.
and it'll like we'll get there. Like obviously not version 1, and I'm not dropping that kind of cash into AI yet.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I definitely see where like what Modus turns into using that sort of that AI model to interact with.
Yeah, because the next stage or what people are already doing is cloning themselves, right? So you
Yeah.
have these guys that were content creators that are giving the AI all of its content and being like, okay, now I want you to like with the video software, with the voice replication software, with everything, they can basically clone themselves digitally to respond to people. There's a girl that did it on OnlyFans and she makes like 100 grand a month because a chat GPT bot of her voice responds to dudes' messages. And maybe some girls too, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's definitely dudes.
It's mostly dudes.
It's all dudes.
It's mostly lonely dudes.
I, I like that sweater, man. It's good.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's exciting, man. Yeah, it's a wild model. I actually I unintentionally broke ChatGPT the other day trying to come up with some images.
Hmm.
Apparently, um, talking about obese people violates their community guidelines, and it wouldn't make the image I want.
So
And
I did.
it was completely innocuous. Like,
What did I use the word love, and it wouldn't do it because I think it interpreted it as like make love,
yeah, it's
and
funny,
so it was
eh?
like I don't like we don't accept that in our community guidelines or whatever. Um, But no, I was playing around with it last night with Dolly and making images, and I was like, oh, make like a doctor in the Salvador Dali style. And it like
Mhm.
comes up with as a dude. And Lan was like, obviously. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't give it enough prompts, so relax. And so then I was like, okay, make an image of a doctor, a female doctor with brown hair and a little bit of attitude. And the amount that it looks like Leanne is so funny. She's like, it doesn't look like me. I was like, it totally looks like you now. Like,
Oh, that's amazing.
and then I
Yeah,
made
it's
it
been
yeah, I
super
made it like
helpful.
ride a unicorn and turned it into like a Pegasus and there's like a rainbow
Yeah.
and shit. It's amazing. It's
Have
amazing.
you seen the image of that like fat dude drop kicking an alligator that was circulating around?
No, but that's awesome.
It was
I'm gonna have to
amazing.
look for it.
It was like somewhere in the swamps of Florida or something like that.
I love it. I like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely because I had put up a post today on Instagram being like, where are the rest of my nerds at? Because I need to talk about this. And I've got about 1,000 people on my personal Instagram. I had 3 people reach out to talk about it. So no one is doing this. No one's paying
No.
attention. Or no one's following me, like whatever. Maybe I'm just being followed by bots. But the other thing was one of the people that reached out was an artist. And she was like, look, like as an artist, this sucks. And I was like, look, I get it, but like, A, this isn't your style. So I understand. I understand someone could steal your style and things like that. But I think what's exciting about ChatGPT is the fact that you can treat it like a personal assistant. And I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
really interesting. And so it was more like, hey, look at this silly image I made. Let's talk about GPT. But unfortunately, the conversation maybe got, skewed a little bit because somebody didn't feel like it was the right use of it. And I agree, it sucks. It sucks to like steal the work of an artist if you could pay somebody to do it.
Yeah, it's really so I was chatting with a buddy of mine who is he's an art director at EA Sports. Like they do NHL and they do like his team does NHL and UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using a ton of AI for art generation. And basically, what he's saying is like it gets us 80% of the way there. So now just like the artists who like they'll take it and then they'll make it to what it was, but it just takes out a lot of the grunt work. So it's
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I think, and that's the like a lot of people are worried, like, oh, AI is going to steal my job and all this kind of stuff. And I think what it's going to do is it's just going to change people's jobs. And I think it's going to make people that AI would replace, it's just going to make them way better and way more efficient. And they're going to have to do less of the like nonsense and more of the higher level tasks.
it,
And yes,
exactly.
eventually, yeah, AI is going to be smart enough and it's going to replace a lot of jobs and not just computer programmers. You know what I mean? But like, if you don't have to look for the code, or sorry, if you don't have to build the code from scratch and you need to go over the code instead and find the mistakes, you still have to know how to code, you
That's
know?
exactly it. What it does is, you know, for you know, for me, where we draft all the time, it gets rid of like the first draft, which is the hardest one to write. And it's
Yeah,
like, okay, I've got my framework. I got to change this around. I got to do this. Like, this is good. And it just gets that really annoying grunt work done.
exactly. Exactly. And I think like from my experience right now of going through it, so one of the things that I struggle with in terms of creating content for the brand is trying to decide what is the brand voice that I
Yeah.
have, right? Because I don't have a lot of content of myself. I haven't done a lot of tracking of my career or anything. And so in using ChatGPT to help me kind of get my thoughts down on paper, that was really helpful. And what I ended up doing was one day I just felt like I don't want to say inspired, but like kind of inspired to put down a story of a personal experience in the kitchen. And I wrote it. I did like 2 drafts. I went over it with Leanne because Leanne is like, she could be a writer. And she probably will be like when she's done being a doctor, she'll probably be a writer. And so we, did like editor thing and went over it, whatever. And I think it's about like when a fridge, uh, everything was going great until the fridge wasn't working anymore is more or less the concept. And I put it into, this is something I wrote from my perspective with my voice with like a couple of modifications but really no outside influence, and I'm not a good writer by any means. But when I put it into ChatGPT to tell me like what's the brand voice of this, And what are some examples? It came back with the examples of what I would want it to sound like. So it was
Yeah.
like, this is similar to Anthony Bourdain because there's some humor, there's a real life thing. It's similar to Alton Brown because you talk about, very specific topics that are industries. It was really cool to do that because now I can be like, okay, take Alton Brown and Anthony Bourdain and mash them together, respond in that way moving forward.
Hmm.
And it's the more data you provide it and the more parameters, the more niche you can get it to come down. And I think it's really crazy, man. I think it's just such a hugely powerful tool. And I spent 5 hours working on it today, you know?
That's awesome, man. That's fantastic. Like that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I know we're not just talking about ChatGPT or whatever, but
No,
it's
no, no,
just
but
like
it's part of the
something I've
branding
been,
thing, right? Because like I'm struggling with that too. Both for I finally have a name for my like the legal stuff, the legal contract stuff. I'm
oh,
calling
mine's
it.
just like 151229 Canada Inc.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The legal name is staying the same. I'm like
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
running. Basically, what I'm hoping is that I basically have my numbered company that's incorporated,
Mm-hmm.
and I now have two business divisions. I have Modus, which is the app, and then I have this legal stuff.
Modus, eh? That's what you
Yeah,
settled on?
yeah. Yeah, it's a Latin word.
Mm-hmm.
Hilarious. So it's a Latin word that means to move, like movement,
Mm-hmm.
but it also in the root of the word, there's the word parole. So it's like moving and speaking. Like there's a whole purpose of this to get you more active and to be more social. So how you want. So it works really well. It's short because it's Latin based. It covers a bunch of languages in my initial markets. And
Mm-hmm.
hilariously, I have a buddy of mine who's Punjabi. He's like, you can't use that word. I'm like, why not? He's like, because motu means fat in Punjabi.
Perfect.
I'm like, yeah, well, good. Don't
I don't want you to be fat, so that's perfect.
exactly. And that's what got me to to break the community guidelines of ChatGPT. They're like, you're being mean. I'm like, no, I'm not.
Just
I'm
trying to
using
describe
I-
something.
I'm using like I wasn't even using like, regular terminology. I was literally using the medical terminology. I'm like BMI of more than 40.
Oh my God. Well, when I'm in town in a couple weeks, I'll show you the chats and the prompts that I use because I'll bring my laptop.
Yeah.
I'm assuming both of us are going to be working during this time, and we're
Yeah,
not
exactly.
just going to be eating ramen and hanging out.
Oh man, I'm so excited to bring you to I'm going to make a rezo with a bunch of people and we're going to go eat at this Cambodian restaurant
Perfect.
that is it's going to blow your mind.
Can we do hot pot?
Absolutely. We can do hot pot at my house. We can go out for hot pot. We can do it
Yeah,
every
let's go out.
Yeah,
Let's
there's
just
a
go out. Let's make
yeah.
it super easy. Let's just go out.
No, no, I know, but anyway,
Well,
we'll
whatever.
we'll
We can cook dinner too. I just mean
we'll
like
do
let's go out.
we'll do all the things.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
you're basically you're only eating Asian food the entire time you're here.
Thank God.
I'm gonna take you to this Vietnamese place that has like the best bun cha. It's incredible. Forget
I don't
about
know what
pho.
that
It'll
is.
blow
It
your
sounds
mind.
good. I can't wait.
It's like Vietnamese ramen. It's got that like rich, flavorful broth.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
legit. Anyway, I've
Nice.
got a list. Even
Okay.
when you land that day, we're going straight to my favorite Chinese barbecue place because it's really close to the airport.
Are you meeting me at the airport or am I coming to you?
No, I'll come pick you up.
I don't care. It doesn't matter to
No,
me,
no,
but
I'll come pick you up because I'll use it as an excuse to go to my favorite Chinese barbecue place.
it's so awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, I can't believe I was just like, when is she coming back? Oh, okay. I have enough points. I'm coming. Bye.
yeah,
Okay, I'll
done.
see you in 3 weeks.
That was
Um,
hilarious too because I had one bar reception. I was out, I was out
yeah, I
hunting.
know. You're just like hunting. You're like,
I'm like, sick. Mike's coming.
we'll figure this out. Yeah, Leanne was like, are you going to go hunting? I was like, I don't have any gear. And it's like a 3-4 day affair. Like, I don't think I'm the right person to go do that
No,
right
no, no. You're not. We're not going to go hunting because I'm actually physically out of commission for about a month.
now. Yeah, I saw your hand. What'd you do? You get in a fight with a bear after I told you not to?
Dude, I'm gonna send you this picture on WhatsApp right now,
Um,
and you'll take if you
okay.
want to see something gross.
Yeah, live reaction. Then let's hit it.
Let's do it.
I just saw the free candy photo.
There you go. Nice little video.
Oh, it's a video? Oh no. That doesn't look like the thumbnail doesn't look like it's where it's supposed to be.
Dude, I'm pretty sure it was dislocated in two spots.
Ugh. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we're not going snowboarding either, which I can't, so that's fine. But
Yeah. We can still go up to Whistler though.
yeah, 100%. I'm down. I was gonna suggest like being able to go try to go mountain biking or something, but I don't know what it's like when it's wet. I'm
No,
assuming it's too
it's already
okay.
snowed in.
Okay.
Whistler won't be open for mountain biking, and I mean I won't be able to mountain bike then either. But we'll go up for a night because I have a gap in my Airbnb booking, so we'll just
Did I send you that thing about the guy that like runs his property as a retreat?
yes, you did.
It's an
It's part of the
interesting.
it's part of the grand plan. Don't worry.
It's interesting. I like it. I was like, I never thought of it, but it's a good idea.
I actually I was when we were out hunting, I was chatting with my buddy, and I was like, you know, because there's lots of backcountry lodges out here, right? And there's
Mhm.
backcountry lodges for skiing, there's backcountry lodges for hunting, there's backcountry lodges for fishing, there's backcountry lodges for all the things. I'm like, it would I don't know if you could find the right terrain, but basically have a lodge that fall and spring hunts, summer is mountain biking and hiking, and then the winter is skiing, snowboarding, and you just run it out of that lodge. Because that would be
Mhm.
like if I ever made a boatload of money, that is something that I would own because it would be amazing. Like run it as a business. I have no idea what kind of cash you need for it, but
Couple million for sure.
easy. Because then you have like
You
land
know?
tenure and all these land rights and
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. Give me 2 seconds. I just got to check on something in the oven.
Yeah.
It's 7 o'clock now, so
Yeah, I know.
um,
Sorry about today, man.
no, it's
I
okay, dude. What are you talking about?
my brain has been really scattered. I like completely forgot to send you the the email invite and forgot about it.
We figured it
Anyway,
out.
yeah.
But speaking of actually scattered brains, I started taking this like mushroom extract, and it's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Like Lan bought it for me, or bought it for the two of us, and I was like, "This is bullshit." I was like, "I don't believe this. It's not a thing. It's not gonna work. This is like, yeah, I get it. It's in like Chinese medicine or whatever, and it's all the latest craze or whatever." I was like, "This is full of shit," and I would say it is not. Um, I take it in the morning. It's like two little pills, and within like half an hour, I'm definitely more clear.
Interesting.
Definitely. So it's mushrooms. Like it's just mushrooms. That's all it is. Not magic mushrooms. This is like just regular. This isn't like microdosing and now I'm focused. This is
Yeah,
like
it's like, okay, Mike,
no,
you're
no,
just
no,
tripping. You're just
no,
tripping in
no.
your
It's like a
apartment.
brand. It's like a brand. Like one day I'll say the name so that we can get sponsored. But I'll text you the bottle afterwards.
Yeah.
And but honestly, I ran out and I noticed the difference.
Huh.
And it takes like this. However, that being said, this morning I hadn't taken it and I was like on it. And then I realized at like noon, I was like, oh shit, I forgot to take this mushroom thing. So I like took it. And in the afternoon, I ended up being more distracted and less. And
Mm.
I don't know why. Maybe it's just like a one off or something.
Yeah.
But I definitely find it helps. It's like I think it's reishi.
Okay.
And but yeah, I'll send you the thing and I'll bring some while I'm out there. Oh, actually, I don't want to take a. Seems like a stupid thing. The government would be like, "What the hell is this?"
No, I wouldn't worry about it. You're flying domestically.
Yeah, maybe. But
Anyway, text me
anyways,
the bottle. I'll have some probably by the time you're out here.
it's honestly like like if you don't find anything, I'll take them because I bought like two
Perfect.
bottles so that I can have a supply.
I like it. Yeah. Text me
Um,
the bottle.
yeah, I've had since we've talked, I've got my first contract. I've got paid for part of the first contract. We spread
Hell
out.
yeah.
Yeah, man, we spread out the payment so that it was like a little bit easier for the guys to manage. Probably about originally the contract was going to end beginning of December, but I like there's been kind of they're friends too.
Yeah.
Um, but I think we're going to push it a little bit more to make sure that they get set up because the scope of the project changed a little bit. And at first it was let's figure this all out and spend as little money as possible.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, well, if we got to spend a little bit of money, will that make us a little bit more efficient kind of thing?
Yeah.
And so now instead of being like, okay, we're going to set everything up with this piece of software that will talk to your current software. It has now become, we might use a different one and we might change the software you use on the day to day. And so that's like a complete rework of everything, right? Like that's
Yeah, of
retraining
course.
the staff. That's like a whole bunch of stuff. And, the team is a couple of guys. It's like three guys. And so a few guys, not a couple. Um, and they all have different roles and responsibilities and things like that. And I think coming in has been really interesting for me to be trying to work with a team like this because it really highlights how much more I have to hone in the process.
Yeah.
Like it's really great that it's friends too, because our feedback is pretty open and honest with each other. There was a moment where we were kind of like, me and one of the guys were like kind of ribbing each other. And then I felt like it like transitioned to maybe criticism instead. And so this was in the group chat. And so privately, I was like, hey, man, like, I know we're just making jokes, but like, if you feel like this isn't working out, like, just tell me. And you're like, we can cancel the thing. Like, we won't talk about more money. I don't care. Like, that's it. And he's like, no, he's like, we're going to talk like this because we're friends. But in text,
Yeah,
like,
you never know the tone, right?
you never know, right? Like, maybe someone is, maybe there's a hint of truth behind it. And maybe there was anyways. But
Yeah,
in
but
any
anyway,
case,
you did the right thing. It's like my favorite analogy for that is take a transcript of a stand-up comedian and just read it aloud.
right.
And you would think that the person should probably be convicted of war crimes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, there's I mean, that's the
Exactly.
biggest problem. The more layers you put between people, like this is great, right? Like we can see each other, I can see your
Yep.
reaction, like we know what's going on. It'll never be as good as in person. Like we're not adapted that way. And so,
Yeah.
you put a
Yeah.
couple layers of text in there and yeah, it's
Yeah.
super important to be careful with
So
that stuff.
so that's
I
really, it's been really interesting because I've really had to redefine what I'm going to offer and what I'm going to do, and it's teaching me how to set barriers, which is really hard
Yeah,
because also they're my friends and I know that like the more work I put into it, the sooner they're going to see results. And so they're going to have, I want them to succeed, obviously.
of
I'm not
course.
there just to like take money or whatever. So is like one of the guys, he was like, "Oh, are we going to have like a presentation?" Meanwhile, there has been conversations where it's like, have you not noticed like how ADHD these guys are? And I was like, well, I'm not going to make a presentation. Like, what do you mean? No one's going to pay attention. Like,
Yeah.
what's the point? But I ended up doing it because the meeting got pushed by a couple days, and it was extremely helpful for me as well. It took me about 8 hours to put it together. It was like about 35 slides, I think. But now I have a template,
Yeah, exactly.
right? And now with my ChatGPT agent, I can give it the template and be like, this is what I want my stuff to look like later. And then it's going to sync with Canva, and then I'm going to give it the information. It's going to do it automatically, and then it's done.
Man, that's crazy. I didn't realize that you could sync it with Canva.
I'm not, I know it's in
I
the
mean, even if
works.
it's a copy paste, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. But I did see somebody use it, but I'm not 100% sure if it was Canva or if it was somebody, like maybe it was just like an edited video and
Yeah.
whatever, but it's going to happen eventually, you know? Because
Hmm.
you can do that in Canva now. They have like this new thing, it's like Magic Board or Magic Whiteboard or something. And you can say, I want to create this and I want it to look like this. And it'll give you like 5 options. And then you can select what you want. It'll create images for you if you just tell it what you want and it'll do it. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
No,
I'm
it's
getting
pretty
distracted.
wild.
I'm
Is that the
bringing,
paid version of it?
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I have the professional version. But whatever, if you want to mess around with it, I'll send you the login. I don't care.
Yeah, I know. It's funny because like right before the call, I was working on this presentation that I'm doing because I'm teaching a class next week. Um, but yeah, it's
Turn it into a webinar, bro.
that. Oh no, 100%.
Yeah, cool.
Um, I'm gonna get them to record it and turn it into a webinar, and that's that.
So so like I feel like I'm making progress. I feel pretty good. Like like mentally I feel pretty good. Definitely feel a lot different than when we first started recording stuff. Obviously getting the second client will be a big deal, that especially that isn't one of my friends.
Yeah.
How are things going for you? Like you've now changed the name. You're changing the direction, it sounds like, of the whole thing. So that's really exciting. Like what's going on?
Yeah. So Modus is. we went back and forth, and I've tried to learn as much about branding as possible. My buddy Carl has been just, phenomenal with helping me out and pointing me in the right direction. And I actually had a conversation today with a marketing and branding agency out of Toronto, and I'm having a sort of a follow up conversation with to see, what it's going to cost me to do this properly for Modus. Because I mean, the thing with a B2C app, it needs to pop, right? Like it needs to grab people's attention much more so than a business to business app, because the business to
Hmm.
business app is like, it needs to be good, it can't be terrible, but it's like, we're coming to you because we have a specific problem, there's a budget for it, and we're here to hire you for legal services, right? Like
Hmm.
that's, whereas, hey, download this app, like that's something that everybody gets all the time. And whereas like the niche that I'm using for the legal stuff is way more way more narrow than Modus's. So, I was like, kind of had a couple of hiccups with finding people to help me with the marketing and branding. And I think I finally found a company that, like, it came recommended from a friend of mine who's in marketing. And so, hopefully, with this follow up conversation tomorrow, I'll either get them to say, like, hey, this is what you've done. It's okay. Like, this is how we make it better, or we got to scrap it, or it's fine for the time being. And like, let's get this MVP off the ground and then come back to us when you're ready to push some more.
What's the
And
cost you're looking at with these guys? I just want to
I don't
compare it
know.
to what you.
I'll have that conversation tomorrow, because like I've put in a lot of the groundwork that I need to do for branding. I think,
Hmm.
like, I went through it with my buddy Carl, and like they've gone through these exercises at EA a bunch of times internally to like
Yeah.
brand their own teams and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully, like, all of that effort hasn't been for waste. Um, and so I'm glad that we're getting it closer. We're probably a month out with the app to get it up and running
Okay.
on the app store. So that's great. Um, I'm still waiting for cash from Future Entrepreneur. Actually, I'm glad I brought that up, because I need to um, email them and see what's going on with that.
Right on target, bro. You're at three. You're at about 3 months, if I remember right. So I got it
Yeah,
three
about
and a
that.
half. So you are right on target for getting funded. Even though they say it happens in 24 hours, it's about three
Yeah,
months.
well, 24
Yeah.
hours from when, right? But no, it's been good. It's been really tough, because it's, I feel like I still don't know what I'm doing really. And I've just been distracted with like little things that keep popping up, but I think that's kind of inevitable.
Hmm.
I finally hired someone to build my website for the legal, the legal um, product that I'm offering.
Yeah.
And it's just an easy one page, build it on Wix. I found someone on Upwork, like, have a nice day. Like, it's going to cost me $300. I'm done. Right. Like, I'll tinker with it later. It'll have, like, I gave the guy the layout of everything I want, gave him all the text, and it'll be fine. So like that was a big thing that was kind of sitting on the back of my head. And I'm because I'm teaching this class next week that'll tie
You need it.
into the contracts, then it's I want it up before then. So hopefully I'll have it done by the end of this week, and we'll call it a day. So
Yeah, you gotta
there's
have a professional. You gotta have a professional landing page for that.
yeah,
After that
exactly.
class, for sure.
Yeah, I tried, and I was just like, it was taking too much time. Like, for a couple $100, I don't want to think about this anymore.
Yeah, I spent so much time on doing mine, but I used Squarespace, so it was a little bit easier because it was like drag and drop and things like
Yeah.
that, and I have multiple pages.
Okay.
So, but like Squarespace, and also I have to translate into French, right? So I have
Yeah.
two sites. So it's like $400, I think, for the year for the translation software, but that's to a maximum of words per month. So I'm going to soon reach that maximum because of the blogs. And then I'll have to decide whether or not I upgrade or not.
Yeah.
And then it was $300 for Squarespace. So,
Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, no, it's all things that I'm like chipping away at, which is it's good for progress. I haven't made this first engagement that I'm doing for free for this company has been a lot slower than I was expecting it to be.
mhm.
Um, Actually, sorry, I'm jumping around, but I had a question for you about your website, because I know that
Yeah,
you have
Henry.
the catering stuff on one part, but it's not the main offering.
Yep.
And the same thing with CFS. For me, I have here's like, I'll build your legal department for you for your sales and get that all up and running. But I also offer like one-on-one negotiation, services. Like if you're having a hard time with a deal, or you have someone internally who needs some help, like I'll coach them through it. And so like how did you like what was the approach that you took like from a layout perspective?
So, two things. One, um, the private catering was the idea came from just the very beginning of starting the whole thing. I had somebody that reached out to me and wanted me to do some private catering. And I said, hey, I'm going to start this thing anyways. I know how to do this. It's like turn your brain off and be able to execute it. So I thought it would be a division of the brand. But at the end of the day, I didn't want it to be the division of the brand. And one of the people that I spoke with about getting some help with the, with media and marketing and everything, actually suggested to take it off the website completely, because it's such a different offering than consulting.
Yeah.
So what yours is, though, is I think yours is just another offer that revolves within the same realm. So what you could do is the way I tried to do it was break it up into resources and offerings. I have like a Canva document that says that I have to change and update, but it's like, okay, here's a 6 week, 12 week, and 24 week program. We also offer one offs at this rate. And so just by saying like, and then there's also like, oh, if you have like a custom project, like contact us for pricing kind of deal. Right. And so I think for you, since it falls in the same thing, I don't think you need necessarily a separate landing page
Yeah, it's
for
just
it.
one of the offerings, right?
I think yeah, exactly. Like, and sorry, at some point you will want a separate landing page because you're going to want to direct everybody specifically to that offer, because you might be able to, do 5 or 6 of those in a month really easily that are one-offs and they pay a lot. And so that'll
Yeah.
be really worth it. But I think it's a complementary service. If we're thinking of like the Hormozy style thing, it's like hammering one offer,
Yeah.
right? And just keep providing value to it. But I think your I wouldn't say it's exactly one offer, but I would say you're at like one and a half.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
so I don't think it's a big deal. You could even make it as like an add-on. So in your sales pitch through your landing pages that people will go through, just you can have like a, hey, complimentary, sign up today and you get complimentary 1 hour where I'll work with one of your employees to help them get over whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so right away they're like, I get a lawyer for free for an hour? Like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's exactly well I'm going to put it in. And I think that what you're saying is I know where I'm going to put it now, because I know which part it falls under, because it falls under training, right?
Yeah,
Like group
exactly.
training, individual training, whatever it is.
And it's just a different price point, it's a different wage, and it's a different, like, in the flow chart you're still coming through to coaching and training, and it's like group or person, and
Yeah.
that's it. So I don't think it's that big of a, I don't think it's so different that you need like a whole other website or a whole other anything. I think you can very much just like slot it in.
Yeah, exactly. Um,
Can we pause real fast? I just got to take something out of the oven. They're for myself and for Leanne. She's gonna have a salad, so it's like some tofu that I add like taco seasoning to, and she gets like a kind of a taco salad. And then I like roasted some mushrooms. I'm gonna have some chicken and mushrooms and rice and some kimchi, and that's it.
nice.
Yeah, simple, simple, simple. Um,
Um, I had a thought actually. So Danny is now living in Vancouver,
yeah.
and we were out having a walk yesterday, and anyway, we were
How is
chatting.
he?
It's good. Good. I mean, he's
Yeah.
getting settled. He literally got here 2 days ago, so he like doesn't even have a bed yet. When I was chatting with Danny, this thing popped into my head because it ties into who I'm actually going to market to for my legal services.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to try to market to individual um like startups and mid-sized tech companies. I'm actually going to try and market to like the angel investors and the venture folks who are part of these companies, because they're the ones who are going to know how important legal is, and they will have a much bigger network. Like they will be able to point me in the right direction of who I should talk to sell to. And
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't help but think to myself, I was like, I wonder if one of the groups of people that Mike can talk could chat with about this stuff are people who are investors in restaurants, but not necessarily the cooks or the managers, because they're the ones who want to see the biggest return, and
Hmm.
they'll be the ones who have a better understanding of the stuff that you do to make things profitable.
I
Not a
think
better understanding, but like a higher level, like
right.
actually this is important.
I think eventually that's absolutely the target I need to go for. I think once I get a couple of restaurant people some success, I think then investment people will take notice, and they'll believe that. I think coming in, like right now, I still kind of have to prove myself,
Of course.
you know, and I still have a lot of that to do. And I think until I do that, I don't think they'll take me seriously.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what success I had with Dalaros. I left the business,
Yeah.
right? So from their point of view and their investment point of view, and I'm sure the guys that invested with us privately for Dalaros, like they were like, who is this guy? You know what I
Oh,
mean?
of
Like,
course.
so I don't know. I think I need to prove myself a couple more times. And I think you're absolutely right. That's a great person, a great group of people to reach out to, because they are then adding a different kind of pressure to the restaurant group that is either succeeding or could be succeeding more.
Exactly. And it's like when they have that, it's I this is completely me projecting, but I imagine that, the people who are working in the restaurant day to day, like they've got more than they can handle on their plate. So they're not thinking
100%.
about all these other things, right? So
Yeah,
it's like
100%.
it's like the strategic people. But anyway, yeah, it was just a sort of a passing thought. I was like, I need to remember when I chat with Mike to let him to run that by him if he hadn't thought about it already. Because yeah, that's who I'm going to be targeting for my stuff.
No, I think it's a great idea. Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's really great.
Cool.
Um,
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
struggling
excited.
with anything? You
Sorry.
want to troubleshoot something? You want to brainstorm something?
I'm curious how you came to figure out what your branding voice was.
Who? Well, I use a lot of ChatGPT. That's for sure. I find the using ChatGPT as an interview tool is really helpful, where you
What do you
basically
mean as an
have it,
interview tool?
you have it interview you. You say, "Hey, I want to create a brand voice. Ask me questions until you understand what I want."
Okay.
And then it'll give you 10 questions. And then you'll write the question, then you'll answer. And then it'll say, "Okay, well, I don't really understand what you meant about 1, 2, and 9. Give me more information, and also give me 10 other questions."
Okay.
And then it just keeps going. And then
Oh wow.
afterwards, it can do that.
Like just in the chat function.
Yeah, you
Cool.
want to do it? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can we screen share?
No, we can't,
No,
unfortunately.
eh? All right. Well, forget it. Let's do it after our call. I'll show you.
Okay.
But it's like, so for me today, for in terms of building the brand agents, right? What I wanted to do was, with all the information I did with ChatGPT before, I wanted it to analyze itself and tell me if it was doing what I wanted it to do. So I downloaded, what I do when I create the blogs is I'll say, okay, I'm going to write, and this is all in the same thread, right? This is not starting new ones. So it has all of the information previously to remember, right? And so it works from this massive data set over time. It gets just bigger and bigger. 3.5 had a limit on how many characters, and 4, the limit is way higher. So now what I did was I exported all the information and put it into a new chat in GPT-4. So now I'm kind of starting over, but it has everything that it referenced itself. When I've been making all the blogs, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to talk about food costs today. I want to write 2 articles, and the titles are going to be, recipe development and waste management. Ask me questions about the first article. Don't forget everything we've already talked about. And if you need me to clarify anything, don't hesitate to have me clarify it. Do you understand? Yes. Here are the questions. And so
Okay.
then I'll take that out, I'll put it into a Google document, and I'll answer the questions, and I'll copy it back and say, Here are my answers. Have me clarify anything. In the beginning, it would ask me sometimes like 40 questions. Now it asks me 5.
And this is all within the same chat. Eh? It's
And
not
it's
like a new
all
chat.
within the same chat. And so what I did was I made sure that I had all the blogs pulled out just in case, because GPT will crash sometimes and you'll lose the agent completely and you
Yeah.
won't be able to use the chat anymore, right? You have to start all over. So I wanted to make sure I had this backup just in case. The problem is the backup is huge now, but GPT-4 can analyze documents now. So I can upload a dozen documents, it reads everything. And then, so what I did straight up was, I'm going to give you these blogs. I want you to tell me what the brand voice is from these blogs. This is a brand new chat. It's never been given this information before. And it was able to come up with something that was very close to what I wanted, but it was missing, obviously, the like human and humorous touch that
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to have. So then I uploaded the story that I wrote, and it was able to say, okay, this brand voice sounds like this. And here are the examples of this. I said, great. Now I want you to take both of those brand voices, smash them together, and give me 5 examples of who that best represents in the world. And then it did that. And so now I have 3 agents, one that is the like hyper professional, one that is the storyteller, and one that bridges the gap between them.
Okay.
And so what I'm going to do is now I have 40 fields of data that I'm going to upload into it. And I'm going to create these 3 different personas that I can speak to. So if I want them to create, I want like a really fun, lighthearted blog, I'll speak to the storyteller. But if I want to really focus in on a template for recipe development, I'll speak to the precise guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like segmenting out and creating these like different kind of coaches or interviewers to help you get to your end goal. It's not, hey, ChatGPT, nice to meet you. Write me a business plan. It's going to be
Yeah.
like, about what? So it's how many of these agents can I create that can help me just like leapfrog the nonsense of trying to input stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's
And
great.
so
Yeah, I can't
that's,
wait. I really want you to show me how to do this once we get off this.
I mean, we can get off this right now if you want. Like, I don't know what else you want to talk
Yeah, I
about.
mean, I got nothing else to really report. It's just like
I
business
spent
admin as
half an
usual.
hour talking about ChatGPT.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna stop it.
All
It's
right.
been a pleasure, Mike. I'll put a Google link so we can share screens in the group. Okay.